we have from God that connects us is the Spirit of God. You want to go with that word, the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it.
Spirit is fine.
But
If you want to be fancy, you can call it a theta particle, tachyon, why not graviton,
so is
monopole is fine.
what that is that what that is?
That's what that is. It is the glue that holds the universe together. Sometimes you call it, you know what you can call it? Sometimes people call it love.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's the it's the observer in the subatomic.
It's omnipotent, omniscient, all-observing. It is God's neurons. It is how He is seeing us, no matter what we're doing at all times, in all places, all the time. It's how He keeps us on a leash, too. But that's a little heavy duty. I have a saying. Numbers are technology. Okay? Math is a science. And the universe is a machine. And spirit is mechanical. When we talk about God, when we talk about spirit, when we talk about human beings, we try to not get our head guillotined, cut off by offending the infrastructure, the hierarchical society, institutions, and governments, corporations. In the case here, the fact is that spirit is harnessable. It can be used as a work wheel. It is actually a source of drive that can be made into an engine. And it's the energy that God used to create our universe, our cosmology. And universe means one. There's only one universe, and that's the world of creation. There's many worlds within this world, but there's only one physical world of creation. The reason you don't have 10 fingers is because it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that thumb would not be there. It would be over here. And it would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because these thumbs are opposals, they're mirrors. You have an axis. This is your axis. You have bilateral symmetry, where the half is a mirror of the right. You know, in the science museums, if you stand in front of the mirror, it looks like your whole person, even half of you isn't there, though? Okay. So what I showed already was that by halving was powers of 10. Because the base 10 system, the decimal system, does not have 10 numbers. How many numbers do we have? We have 9. That's because 0 is not a number. It's an absence. Okay? It is the hole in the vortex. Okay? And we'll be seeing about that shortly. 3 doubled is 6. 6 doubled is 12, which is 3. 12 doubled is 24, which is 6. 24 doubled is 48, which is 12, which is 3. Constantly oscillating. Never ends. Okay? Only one or the other. That's called movement back and forth. This duality is called what? The yin and yang. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
But you don't ever get a 9, do you?
You never see the 9. It's always invisible. That's right. That's the power of this math, because we don't have it, but it'll show it by the angle and the ratio, the displacement. This energy here is displacing everything. See how the green here matches the green here? Okay. But let's not go that far ahead. There's an invisible line, axis.
And there's your symmetry.
It's an invisible spindle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you're still moving off of. That's incredible. That's.
Okay.
I'm seeing something, but I'm not sure I understand what it's like. You've got the whole way that things are unfolded.
Yep.
And the 9 times 3 to 22nd, which is 9.
Right, which is, it all goes back. So
that
the
stays, yeah, that's
it is the perfect diagram of what
Petroglyph.
things are.
The S curve is the number 9. It is your third part. It's the world boundary condition. And what it does is that when you learn about these world boundary conditions, and you have control over superconductivity, then you have a control over flight through the universe, everything. And this is what we're learning about right now. So what is happening is is that the three parts of the yin and yang, you only see the yin and yang oscillating back and forth. But the yin and yang does not connect the pyramid on the base. You have the 9 in the center, okay, which is the control.
It's essentially the basis for a dimensionality of sorts. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. When Charlie clicks on something, it's because he's dimensionalized it. I mean, it's like, it's really good. So 2 has a quality, and 4 has a quality, and 8 has a quality. It's really a trip that when you're at the lowest bottom, you go to the top is where you go next. Because this is a coil. Our decimal system is a coil. And this is the field, and this is the secret of electromagnetism. Because that's why I'm getting more energy. And this is going to replace all our petroleum products, everything. This is the legend for it. Creation's a closed creation. That's why it's called a bounded infinity. It's an infinity of duration, not direction. The duration is the spin continuum. It's infinity of motion, but it is not infinitely going out into space. Because it's warping and being curved by the intersections of these emanations, it causes it to warp. It's like a little kicker, and it causes it to spin. And as they spin, ever hit a leaf on the lawn, it kicks up in the air and comes closer to you than where it began from instead of going away where you wanted it to? Okay, that's what these things are doing. They're being warped. Okay? And this is relativity here. Again, this is Einstein's c², and it has an axis. It's a self-inclusive relativity. It's so extremely relative that it's relative to its convergence point, which is right here. Everything has an axis, and this is a fixed constant. This is an absolute. The number 9 represents truth, perfection, consciousness. It's called a fixed constant. There's 2 schools of thoughts in the world. There's one that there are not fixed constants, and the other ones is that there are fixed constants. Mine is that there are fixed constants. These are called axioms, theorems. They're called divine virtues, spiritual principles. They can be applied just as fast. You can go from spiritual to physics and physics back to spiritual. It can be in spiritual, it can be love, faith, trust. In physics, it can be the axis, the number 9. Why a gyroscope always stands up on its own when it spins.
So by saying there's no fixed constants, basically sounds like atheism or theism is
Exactly.
There's constants. Like entropy, there's no order in the universe, versus homostasis, everything has a divine order.
Exactly right. I'm glad you said it. That was a good point. This is where quantum comes in. First of all, the center of the circle, and I'm just teaching you guys how to be prepared to make this into the next chart. And there is another chart behind here. And there's many charts over here. Okay, so this is called the legend. This is God's schematic. It's the blueprint. Once you learn the math in this, then you start doing calculating and functions, and essentially you start calculating this stuff. Let you see where you're going to. Okay, you start going into this kind of stuff. Okay, so you start going into more advanced physics. It's called cosmology. So if you have a circle, this is the center. But look at this, the center is way off down here. Remember, this is explaining things, okay? The reason it's off is because there's more to it. Yet all the time while we're trying to be a hologram of this greater world, we're at the same time created by it. So we are essentially tied to it. We are binded with it. And we are actually signs or proofs of its existence. And what happens is that the higher linear emanation of 9 becomes the third invisible force that does not allow anything else to be greater than it. Thus, we can mirror God, but we'll never be greater than God. How this coil works is these windings are wound in such a way to create that, it's hidden under here, that one wire, there's 2 wires here. The first activation sequence of this coil, only the right wire is all positive, and that's your 147s. The second activation stage is all your left wire is all positive, it's activated. And now the first family number group, 147, the other wire is totally off. And then they're both off. None of them are they're all neither positive, and the middle space in there becomes all positives, the 396. I'm just preparing you this. This is like advanced education. This is for what you're about to see, not what you've seen so far. All right.
So by creating the energy with the 2, you get the third.
Or whatever.
It's already there.
Oh, I see, it's already there, okay. You just have to kind of make room for it.
That's better put. Yes, it is displacing. This is making this make room for it. The 124875 is making room for the 396. But they're 2 separate systems, which we're going to be studying on.